Hello, I'm Martin Cross. This is Cross's Corner. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And in the corner today is the amazing, incredible Sinita Puspure. I was going to say Ireland's finest ever single sculler. Probably. I think that's true. But it's great to have you here, Sinita.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a while since we started talking about this, and finally we set the date.
Yeah, I know. It's so exciting to talk to you. How was your day been today?
I was pretty good actually. Yeah, was busy as well. Did horrendous session this morning, then stayed there to work, then did another two sessions, and then I suppose the day's not over yet. There's still a small bit of work to do after this, but
Oh, you,
busy. Yeah.
you're kidding. What have you got to do after this then?
Just well, it happens that recently this is my third week of working for Rowing Ireland. I'm covering maternity leave for another girl, and I'm doing the women in sports officer duties at the moment, which is I quite like it, and
Yeah.
it keeps me busy, keeps my head occupied, and I feel more useful as well that I'm doing something else, not just training.
Oh wow. Um, so I'm really intrigued as to know what your thoughts are on this coming season and what you expect that you'll be doing because it sounds like you're still rowing and training.
Well, I did have a quite rough patch there in December when I stepped away, so I wasn't quite sure what the picture is going to look like. Um, and if you wish, we can touch on that a little bit more later. But at the moment,
Well, let's touch on it now, Sunita.
um, well, first I actually thought should I actually be speaking out about it, but then I think maybe it's good that somebody does speak about it out loud. Uh, yeah, sure, let's go for it. Um, I was assessed in December, and turns out I've been depressed for a while. And how I came to it, it was I was kind of training away last year, and I was really struggling. I couldn't understand that my motivation was like up and down, and found it really really tough to do some of the sessions, and then I'll be flying the other sessions. So the mood was kind of up and
Mm,
down most of the days, and I think it came to the stage where even getting out of bed was a chore, and going to the shop getting food was too
wow.
much. So yeah, I did fight with it for a long time before I actually got assessed, and so in December I just came to the point when I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I had to step away from high performance environment. I had to just I still exercised, but I didn't do
Yeah.
the big program and stuff. And I suppose that kind of put me in a position where like I wouldn't expect myself to be put in any priority boats or to be put on the top of the list for anything. So I think for me, because of that, I think for me, single is probably the option at the moment, which I
Um,
actually don't mind. I'm
yeah.
learning to enjoy it again after Tokyo, and um, the training is going well. So, and since I've been on the medication, the mood has stabilized as well, and this is something that I think a lot of athletes might be struggling quietly, but I'm now seeing how bad I felt before and how much better I am now. It has made a massive difference. So I definitely would recommend if somebody's struggling, go look for help. Um,
Yeah. I'd like to say thank you for sharing that. That's
yeah, I kind of thought, should I be sharing this? But at the same time, like, I'm not really hiding it as well.
yeah.
And people know that I've been away in December for most of the month. I only came back middle of January. Um, but yeah, it just explains so much why I was feeling so up and down, why I found even simplest sessions was impossible to do. I just couldn't get them done. Uh, Zero motivation for anything.
Yeah.
I felt so I was writing myself down on anything like bad mother, bad athlete, like useless, and all that kind of stuff. It really affects you. And plus all the external factors from rowing side as well obviously played a part in that.
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice time, but I'm glad it's behind me now, and I've actually been
Yeah.
slow and steady moving forward now. And
There's a
so,
couple of things. There's a couple of things. One thing I'd like to share is I've also suffered from depression, and yeah, I'm currently on medication actually, although I'm not depressed at the moment. And I have talked to rowers, one that you might know, who actually got a medal in the for Canada in the Tokyo Games. Kaylee Filmer, she struggled with it in 2019, and I think again in 2021. Um, so I know that, in that sense, you're not alone at all.
but you think we're such a kind of tough crowd that we always feel like, oh, I'm fine, I'm not that bad, I don't need anything, I don't need medication, I'm fine. My husband told me I need to go get on a medication a long time ago, and I was just like, no, no, I'm fine, I'm not that bad.
Mm.
But actually it has made an incredible difference. And looking back now, how I felt, I think that how I assumed that was normal to feel like that. I don't know. You just
Yeah,
accept, we're used to struggle and suffer and all that kind of stuff, and you just take it all and move on. But yeah, it was
yeah.
probably the best decision that we made.
So was it your husband pushing you that made you go and seek help in the end?
No, no, I was getting help. It's just that, even when you're talking to your psych, you always put everything seem a bit nicer than it actually is. It's hard to like, it's you're never gonna say exactly how you feel. You're gonna always, sure, but I'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it took us a little while to kind of get to the point where maybe we need somebody else to look at this. And yeah, but yeah,
um,
my husband he was probably flagging it up last year that I need medication, but I was like, no, I don't.
yeah. That's really interesting. I was talking, I think it was probably about 3 weeks ago, to a rower, Angus Groom, who got a silver in the quad in Tokyo, and he really struggled with depression when he stopped rowing,
Yeah.
and he didn't know how to deal with it. And I think I kind of said, what advice would you give to somebody? And he suggested that, go to see someone sooner. And you're quite right that rowers tend to be so self-sufficient and think of themselves as tough that it kind of mitigates against taking early action, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We're just so used to kind of taking on so many challenges and doing all these hard, long workouts, and it's great. We're tough, but at the same time, like sometimes it's good not to be tough and just ask for that help, and it is getting better then.
I'm really pleased to hear about your upward improvement curve. That's fantastic. And so much so, when were you able to get back into training then?
So once I got myself assessed, felt straight away. I felt so relieved that I called Antonio. I was like, okay, I can go on a camp. Maybe not the whole camp, but I'll go like camp in January for the second week. But then because I just started the meds, they weren't working yet, and I couldn't bring myself to the camp at all. I was so anxious thinking even about it, so I didn't go anywhere. And then I still kept exercising and training and started building my training up a little bit, but like very, very little. I probably trained like 8-10 hours a week.
Mm.
And then I think once they came back from the camp, I started going kind of back to routine a little bit more. And yeah, so this is probably my week 7 back training, but yeah, I'm feeling good. Haven't done massive miles and everything, but I've been consistent enough, and yeah, the
And
form is good, so it's not bad.
how's the single moving then at the moment?
To be honest, I haven't been much in it because the weather's been really bad.
So
uh,
what, you been on the
yeah.
rowing machine?
Yeah, row perfect mostly. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
get on the water maybe 2, 3 times a week if we're lucky, but yeah, the weather's not good at the moment at all.
Oh, right.
Okay, look, it's like riding a bike. You just get out there and it
Yeah.
won't be slick, but it'll move somehow, I'd say.
Yeah. So I guess in the sense that you can look and plan forward, that your sights are set on the Lucerne final Olympic qualification regatta, or is it? Will you go to the Europe? Can you do the European qualification?
No, we can't. We have too many boats qualified.
Yeah. Yeah. Ireland's too successful. Yeah.
We're too good. Um, I think for me, taking in consideration everything that happened this year, I think for me next step is just to go to the World Cup one and see where I can rank myself between amongst all the other scholars, and I think then reassess how is it looking and whether it's worth going to qualify, and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
one step at a time.
It's interesting because I just noticed, though you might have noticed, seen this earlier, that Janine Gemelen, who came back obviously after suffering from her partner passing away, that she came back in the single, but I see now she's gone into a double scull.
Yeah, I saw that today actually on her story. It's a new
Yeah,
adventure, so I assume she will be in a double, but it's exciting. Like I think it's good. Yeah, I'm actually really happy she came back because it was kind of sad that the way she stopped, and like it was, yeah.
yeah,
So it's really nice to see that she's going to continue the legacy and keep going.
because you've raced Janine quite a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I guess you two must know each other fairly well.
Well, I mean, we've been in grade 8 a few times, so that was really fun.
Oh, really? How often have you done the Great Eight with Janine?
I'd say twice. I would say twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did they put you in the eight, Sinita?
Usually the back end somewhere in about. I've been in about, and I've been in 3. Yeah. I
Well,
haven't worked my way up yet to the engine room.
yeah. And when the Irish were going to enter an eight for the Europeans, I think in
Uh,
2022, where were you going to row in that eight?
3. Oh
Oh,
no, actually, I was on the stroke side, so that must be 4.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was such a because you couldn't race that because of illness or
Oh
something to do with
gosh,
it.
yeah. Don't even mention. I was terrible.
Oh no.
Everyone thinks that I was the first one who got sick, but actually, my partner Zoe, she got it first, and then because I could see after the first race in the eight, she wasn't well, and
Yeah,
then I must have picked it up somewhere after, and yeah, it just hit me.
yeah, that's
It
interesting.
wasn't great. Yeah.
It just occurred to me, when you look back at years past, can you spot if you might have been feeling a bit down and so on, in a particular season or time during a season?
Um, Last year I was struggling. I'd say from January on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really up and down. There were times when I couldn't face the session, so I'd just hide somewhere, cry, and then go try and do it. But I can't. I wouldn't be able to, and it was hard because it was affecting Zoe as well in the double. At least now, if I'm in a single, I'm not affecting anyone, so I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
just myself. But yeah, it was really tough. But then I'll get a little breather and I'll be fine again. Um, but yeah, it's just like all the sessions just took so much more mental energy to actually uh, to go and get it done. But then once it was done, I was happy out, And then yeah, I don't know. It was now I look back and I'm like, yeah, definitely something was off, but I couldn't quite put the finger on it because I was always questioning, why am I still here? Should I be still rowing? Should I just leave? Like, what's happening? And just not knowing, not being able to make my own decisions and stuff. But like then after assessment, when we talked with psychiatrists, she said like, yeah, that is the first signs of depression, when you actually don't know like what's happening, what to do with your life, struggling with decision making and moods and everything.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I think in terms of we were talking before we went on air. I think you talked about 27 years international career, something like
Well,
that.
not quite international, but like attached to rowing for about
Yeah.
26,
Um,
27 years. Yeah.
which is a long time, and
It
I
is, yeah.
I I I found with my career that I really didn't want to stop, and I was trying to do to sort of squeeze everything into something that couldn't be squeezed into to actually carry on as an international rower. And just taking that decision was difficult.
Yeah, I think I was planning to leave after Tokyo, but obviously, and I almost did, but just the way that year all went, I was so heartbroken. I couldn't call it a day feeling like that. I just couldn't bring myself to stopping it with such bitter feeling about everything. So I carried on training a little bit. I consider myself, I was lucky to be injured because that
Mm,
gave me time to be train alone again. Um, and then sometime in spring, I came back into the system again, small bit by bit because of the injury and stuff. And I think I wasn't doing too bad because I think I was still training, like maybe again not
mm,
the full program, but when you train for so many years, you just need to keep it up almost, and it's fine. Um, and then suddenly found myself in a double, and that was like a fresh fresh start to something.
yeah,
But I think a few days before that, I was already kind of thinking, well, where do I go from here? Probably that would be it. I wasn't interested in going in a single anymore, and there wasn't really many other options for me. So, and then suddenly they just threw us together in double, and off we went,
yeah,
and it just we were fast straight away. So, and that was easy, and I loved that season. It was like a little bonus for me, you know,
yeah,
like when you just about think that you're going to leave the sport and you suddenly get this nice experience. And it was easy, it was simple. um we only had, I know, first race we had together was like in May, I think, the first piece together, not even race.
yeah.
And then yeah, we just carried that through the season, so that was really nice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the feeling of getting that bronze medal with Zoe. It must in 22, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It must have been great to actually medal again at the World Championships.
it was. And I mean, there was no expectation on us at all because we were just, again, thrown together. Good luck, see how it goes.
Yeah,
Happened that it just went fine. And um yeah, it was, considering also I couldn't walk in January properly up the stairs and sit down in a toilet. Then yeah, it did feel like a really nice bonus at
yeah.
the end of the year. Yeah.
Was that a back injury?
No, I had double knee tendinopathies, so I
Oh,
had like partially torn tendons in both of my knees. And
that
yeah,
sounds horrid.
well, I went to play a bit of a basketball after 2021. So
Yeah.
that lasted a couple of months, my career in basketball, and that was it.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
wow. I'm guessing, Sunita, you must have. I know you've done an awful lot of soul searching and thinking about the sort of 21 experience, the Tokyo experience, and I don't know. You might not want to talk about it now because you might have done all that sort of thinking. Um, I'm just wondering, is there anything you can say about it? Because from the outside, because you don't know what's going on. I think as a commentator on rowing events, it was perplexing to see.
Yeah, that if something could go wrong that year, then everything went wrong. It
Really,
was terrible year, and I was kind of naive to hope that I'll still be able to perform at the Olympics, but that's what we do. We just keep going and hope for the best. Um, I was so far from being in really good shape that even the races, the heat, the quarterfinal, they felt like the races that I usually would win with ease. It felt like really hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that year, um, it all kind of started 2020 already. I was getting like vertigo issues, and that was before the Olympics got postponed. And I feel like that's where it kind of started.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I couldn't even sit in the boat. I would be physically getting sick
No.
from moving in the boat. Yeah, so I was training on a bike a lot because
That must be so weird.
that was so weird. I would be standing and the ground would move, and it was just so strange, And there's nothing. I did like a lot of rehab for the vertigo, so I managed to get myself back to kind of decent enough shape in July. So we'd race the trials, and then we all went on a break. Um, yeah, and then I kind of came back and I kept up the rehab and everything, so I felt better in September.
Hmm.
So we went to Europeans, somehow managed to win that. Didn't feel great, and then after that came back home, and we started doing some tests, and I was ill, I think, as well. And I still did a test because I didn't want to do them alone later. And I feel like after that it just went downhill. Like I could not recover. All my erg scores were down. I couldn't erg because I'll be getting sick halfway through the session from the motion sickness. Yeah, it was really, really challenging year. And then I've done head MRIs and God knows what else. So
Well,
it was bad. I had to again step back a little bit and build my fitness back again, like myself recover, because I was not recovering. Even the smallest session would wipe me out for days. Um, and then kind of January, I was feeling somewhat okay, but I knew the way I felt during sessions, it wasn't anywhere
yeah.
near what I want to be. And the effort was just, let's say, for the session, if the effort was 3 for a steady session, it would be 4 or 5. So everything was a bit harder to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
And but obviously, like when you know the Olympics are coming, you're going to try everything you can to get there and
Yeah.
be in your best shape. And so we went on camp. I broke the rib, and then got on a bike, trained on a bike, and then I got Achilles tendinopathy. So I remember going
Oh, no.
before the before the World Cup in Lucerne. I went on a camp wearing the boot after the injections in my Achilles. Um, so yeah, I remember even doing the 2K on the air before the World Cup, and it was my one of the worst 2Ks I had in a while. It was like 6:42, which was far off my standards usually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was really happy with the medal at the World Cup then, World Cup 3, because I thought, oh right, maybe I'm on a way back, on a way up. Then when we went on a camp, then after, and I noticed my resting heart rate was like around 70 all the time, and I couldn't
No.
get down, and that was like for about 5 weeks. I knew I was in trouble. I think I kind of deep down I knew, because I was really upset even before Olympics started. I was kind of nervous that it's not
Yeah,
going to go my way, and yeah, it was just such a terrible year. Like,
yeah.
um, I was so yeah, I was really naive thinking that I could go and do something good there.
And how did it work in terms of, support from your coach or the federation? Were they able to do much,
Well,
anything to
everyone
help?
everyone was trying their best because obviously, like, everyone had the same goal in their mind, and it just I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But that's how it went, and we can't change it now. And if I look back, if I could redo it all again, I probably would have done a few things different. But there's no point about talking about it now. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so, can we talk about your two world titles?
Yes. Let's talk about
Yeah,
something nice now.
yeah. Because I think we talked about Janine Gamellen earlier, and she had been pretty dominant in 2017 in Sarasota. But then I can't quite remember the season going for you going into 2018, but your form in Plovdiv was sensational. I mean, can you talk to us about how it happened that you just found yourself at that level?
Yeah, I think all it was just changing the program.
Really?
Uh, like I actually think that's all it was, and the program was a bit more intense. There were more pieces. Um, the mileage was higher, not crazy high, not as high as now, but
Yeah.
it was enough for me to have that extra gear. I think for me, just having tough sessions was more like confirm to myself that I can do if I can do this, I can do a 2K because I feel like I had the speed in me maybe sometime before, but I never had fully believed in myself that I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So if I knew that I actually can go that hard, I would have done it earlier. But I needed this tough block of training to realize that I can.
yeah,
Also, obviously, like it did give a bit of physiological kind of advanced me small bit as well. Although my 2Ks didn't really improve by that much, so it didn't go from I don't know, didn't improve by huge amounts. And but yeah, it just had that confidence that the training we did once you get in the start line, that's easy. And like if I'm honest, being on that last camp before the World Championships, I actually didn't think I'm going to make it because
no,
the training was brutal and we were like crawling up the stairs.
you're
Back.
kidding.
Oh, it was so hard. Now I look back and it looks like, oh, it was fine. But at that moment, I remember we were so. I was talking even to. I was talking to someone and said, like, look, I don't even know if I'll make it. I'm so tired. I could break any minute.
Yeah,
But once we got there, it was kind of clear that it's going to be fine.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess that's probably you were feeling like that from the accumulation of sessions, or from a particular hard session that you did.
It was the accumulation. Yeah, it was pieces every day. And it's just like, go, go, go. But then we got so used to the lactate, we got so used to just racing every day that doing a 2K every second day was a piece of cake. Like,
Ha,
really, I remember 2019 and 19, they were probably the best kind of peaks that I've experienced in my life. I've never
wow.
felt quite that way again.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Um, it's really interesting as you're talking, Sunita. I'm reflecting on and you probably know more about this than me. The sort of program that the current Dutch team are on, where they do this really long distance, very low intensity,
yeah.
and then maybe do about 20% of hard pieces, and it's obviously Caroline Florine, the world champion, current world champion, is on that program, and it's a completely different approach to what you're describing, and I can see how your mental toughness was really sharpened by doing that session, those sessions so much.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's, as they say, there's a lot of ways to get fast, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I had me a few more years in me, I wouldn't mind trying it another way. You know, try a different approach and try get faster like that. But yeah,
Yeah, so tell me about that that championships, because you were just flying. I mean, did you know from the heat that you were going to be a serious medal contender, or was your aim? Did you think I'm going to win this? What was your aim going into that championships?
my approach was just one race at a time. I think that
Okay,
also helped me because I was working a lot on just not getting carried away too far.
yeah,
Well, it's just like finish your heat, happy, move on. Finish the
yeah,
next race, happy, move on. Before the final, I think I kind of knew I can fight for the medal. And I was obviously I was looking through the times, and I was looking particularly the 1000, and I was still kind of fastest one, I think. at that point across the races. So obviously it gave me a small bit of confidence, but if if you know me, you will know that I would never go into the race thinking I'm going to win this. I would go in just my approach was just to go in and execute my race plan the best I could,
Yeah.
and I just made my race plan kind of so there's a few sneaky pushes here and there, and yeah,
You won
a
that.
good.
I've got a memory of you winning it by about 5 seconds. I don't know if the margin was 5 seconds, but
Yeah,
you had a decent margin,
yeah, yeah.
and it was a nice tailwind, wasn't it? So it was fast.
It was, yeah, and they switched the lanes as well before, and I don't like change, so I was like, okay, but I'm looking for this. And,
Were you in one? You were in the
yeah,
grandstand,
I was on a
weren't you?
side, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how did that feel for the next season after being world champion? I mean, finally what you've wanted for, I guess, because you must have thought, in the competitions up until then, that you were good enough to win a medal, good enough to compete at that level.
Yeah, to be honest, I think not winning the medal in 2017 really pissed me off, and I was like, "Do you know what? Enough is enough. I want to win next
Yeah,
year."
yeah,
So I
okay,
and that was before the program change. I already had that decision in my head that I want to win next year. And I don't know if the program didn't change, would I won? I don't know, but everything kind of happened the way it happened after. Yeah, I think that Sarasota missing out on a medal because
mm,
I think as well looking at the times I was in a really good shape. It was competitive and was very close to Janine there in the semi final. And I actually thought that I can definitely get a medal,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. You were fourth, weren't you, in that
yeah, I was
championships?
fourth again. Yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
when you came back in 2018, I mean, it was a fantastic result for Irish women's rowing, or Irish rowing anyway. How much of a star were you in Ireland? How much fuss did people make of you?
Well, I think the fact that I was called dominant Puspure by one of the ministers made me a bigger star than I probably would have been. 'Cause, I think from the commentary they assumed that my name was dominant and last name Puspure. So and it was yeah, it was a hit. It was in the papers as well. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
So then, the difficult thing is you're world champion, so and then you have to defend it. And I know 2019 was, we've talked about difficult years. I know that was an incredibly difficult year for you because of your sister, and what you and she had to go through in that year. I mean, I think, just looking at that, I find that result incredible that you managed to pull out in 2019.
yeah, to be honest, I don't know how because I was in Latvia for 3 weeks training once a day doing what I could to actually just stay fit. Um, and then all I had was just the camp before the worlds. But obviously, like the training we did earlier in the winter probably played a role as well.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it was extremely difficult because obviously not sleeping and grieving and yeah, I don't know. You just take one day at a time and just keep going.
yeah,
I think
um,
when I went to Latvia, I think for me the bar kind of expectation bar dropped a lot because then I was more thinking just qualify the boat and that's it. And I think like at that point I would have managed to come ninth.
yeah,
And once I put that kind of expectation away from, took it off my shoulders, then it was the same again. Approach every single race, one race at a time. And I think the quarterfinal was where I kind of found a really nice rhythm and just tried, okay, look, let's just go and
yeah.
keep moving and see what happens. Yeah.
The race I remember of yours from that championship, Sunita, was not so much the final; it was the semi-final, because I couldn't believe how fast and how hard you went, because you had miles between you. You could have like been paddling across the line for the last 200. And
I think it was a quarterfinal. Sorry.
sorry,
That was a quarterfinal.
oh,
I
the
had it
quarterfinal.
in my semifinal. That wouldn't have been
Oh, it was
that.
okay. It was the quarterfinal.
Yeah, it
Okay,
was quarterfinal. Yeah.
yeah. So what was driving you on there?
Just getting the physiological hit from each race, because I usually get better as I go.
Yeah,
And then if I didn't try hard enough, I wouldn't push my physiology again. So for me, the aim was to actually find that pain locker and hurt myself so I can hurt myself more the next race.
yeah. Um, I guess you must have been very close to your sister, and you know, you know, so it was obviously incredibly difficult. And I've heard you say, I think on another interview, that you almost felt guilty for doing a session a day in Latvia because
Yeah.
you wanted to be with your sister.
Yeah, it was incredibly difficult, and like I kind of wanted to get out of the house, but at the same time I didn't want to get out of the house to go training, because I felt
Yeah,
like I really did felt selfish that she's there suffering, and I'm trying to qualify for Olympics. But then I I had so much support as well from staff and friends and everyone saying, look, you can't just lose two important things in your life in 1 year. You need to keep still doing something for yourself. And yeah, I did my best. I mean, I did few sessions. I did one session a day, but I tried to do them well. And
yeah.
yeah, but it really was difficult. And
So
obviously, the sleep was non-existent.
I can't imagine how you were. Yeah, I mean, I've lost sleep for nights with feelings of anxiety and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I think also when you're going through emotional turmoil, because sleep is a healing thing, isn't it? But then if it's not there, it kind of increases the turmoil.
Yeah, I think because it's probably running on adrenaline a lot. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
is
How
that
did
like I don't know.
how did you
We're
feel
so-
when you won in 2019?
Uh, yeah, it was very special, because I was kind of like, I know she's watching me as well, and
Oh wow.
uh, I did feel like I had to like do something for her
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Y-
Um,
Oh, that's amazing. Um, can we talk about being a mum? And there are a few mums in rowing, and I know World Rowing did a nice little feature on mothers in rowing. Um, what's it like to be a mum and row?
well, it's fine. It's difficult sometimes, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, it has its challenges. Like you have to make sure you come back home and make dinner or lunch and clean after them, because they're not that good at cleaning yet. Trying, but it's not working. Um, yeah, it's not just like you can't like obviously when they were babies, like there was no recovery at all.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
they've seen me row since they were small, because I started very soon after Daniela was born. Um, so they actually never seen me not row. It's probably going to be weird for them when I'm home all the time. They, to be fair, because I was rowing all the time, they've been quite independent as well.
yeah,
They kind of grew up to learn to look after themselves a little bit more, in terms of if I'm not home to give them breakfast, they'll go and find something and they'll eat. Same with lunches and dinners. My son, he's probably a bit more self-sufficient than my daughter, but I think she's just playing it while she can. If there's no one there, she'll find something to eat as well. But
yeah,
Yeah, it was, of course, when I was small, it was very difficult to go away on camps for a long time. And um, like, fortunately, we didn't go away that often when they were smaller. Um, it was extremely difficult before Tokyo as well to be away for 6 weeks at a time, 7 weeks at a time,
Oh wow.
because of COVID, we couldn't really go home anytime we wanted. And usually they'll visit me on a camps before Worlds and stuff, but
Oh yes, of
couldn't even
course.
come over because of COVID. So that was a really tough year as well, on top of not feeling well, uh, and then not being able to see family for so long as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I, I guess the other thing I'm thinking, normally when you have kids, you've got family close by. Um, but I think when you had your first child, you'd not long come over from Latvia with Casper. It's Casper your husband, isn't it?
yeah, Casper, yeah.
Yeah, with Casper to Dublin. And of course you wouldn't have had that sort of family network around.
No, we didn't. Well, the story was we landed in Ireland and then a week later discovered that I'm pregnant. So it was like a nice surprise. Uh, we kind of had a choice to make whether we're going to stay in Ireland or go back home to have a baby, but we decided to stay in Ireland. Um, yeah, it was quite challenging, especially when they were babies. We had my mom come over for about a year, I think. She stayed when I was doing a course in tennis and training, and she was minding them.
Yeah,
But then she left, and we were kind of trying to juggle it all alone. So we've had days when I come in from training or work, and Casper will go out the door to do his gym, and then, or vice versa, I'll come home from the gym.
yeah,
Oh yeah, no, or he comes back from work and I'm going to the gym. So we'll be like swapping at the doors, like see you later. And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it was challenging enough, but we do take quite a lot of pride in that we manage it ourselves. We did
yeah,
have moms flying over sometimes before, like regattas and stuff, to help them a little bit, help with kids, and uh, but not very often because they have their own lives as well. And
yeah, yeah, yeah. What's it like being Irish?
adopted Irish. No,
Adopted Irish,
actually,
yeah,
I actually can't see myself moving back to Latvia ever. I think
yeah.
it's just. Uh, Apart from weather, which is not great, I do like everything else. I like people. Everyone's so, obviously there's always few that aren't, but majority of people are quite nice, and um, yeah, I feel quite settled.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
speak like an Irish woman.
Well, we've been here almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's rubbed
18.
off.
Yeah, yeah, it has. Yeah.
What are the nice things about being Irish then, or being adopted Irish?
I think for me the nicest thing probably is to be so accepted by rowing community.
Hmm.
And I think if it wasn't for rowing, I don't think I would feel here as, I don't know, at home.
Yeah,
I think because rowing has kind of, I've set my roots in, and um, it has made me feel a bit more integrated into society even, and have my own circle of people around, and yeah.
yeah. I guess you couldn't have imagined when you were in Latvia, as a young oarswoman, that your what your future would possibly be like.
No, never a million years I would thought that I would end up rowing for another country and living in another country for so many years. But it's just funny how life works out sometimes.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, isn't it? Because I think with Latvia, that they've not had as much success as, say, some of the other Baltic republics.
Yeah, they've been struggling a little bit lately to get senior level, like rowers and senior level up. up the ladder. They've had some talent, but unfortunately, I think a lot of it kind of ends with the financial support when they don't qualify for funding or something, because it's very difficult to get
Mm.
good funding over there. And then they have to work, they have to train at the same time, and a lot of them have families as well. So it kind of puts the stop. You have to stop somewhere, and usually like rowing drops out because they still have to make a living and pay for pay the bills and everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think in Latvia as well, it's quite a thing that young people move away from home quite quickly. They don't tend to live with their parents for a long time, so everybody kind of
Uh-huh.
once you finish your high school, almost you just move out and find your own place.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, usually once you're in college, you're living somewhere else. Um,
Could you speak English before you came to Ireland?
I did a small bit, yeah. Well, yeah, I worked in a hotel in Latvia, so I had to speak English, but
Okay.
it wasn't like still lots to learn when we arrived. We still had
And
lots.
you took quite a break, didn't you, from the sport?
Um, yeah. So the first time I retired was I think it was 2005.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
2005, and then I sat back in about 2008.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and so I guess that was leading up to the London Games, and you got
Yeah, four
se-
years.
you got selection for that, didn't you? For in the single.
Yeah. Just grabbed the last seat available on the last train.
Did you do Olympic qualification for that? The
Oh yeah,
regatta?
I did the last qualifier. That was an experience in itself. I
Uh,
was
Tell me
obsessed.
about that.
First of all, I shouldn't have made it on a paper because I was not in the top four in any of the races that regatta. I don't know what came over me, but um, I was so stressed I couldn't sleep for weeks before that qualifier.
Oh
But I
no.
so wanted to go to Olympics. It was like, and I know I've only been training for 4 years, so I don't know how I came up with the idea that I have to qualify for those Olympics. But it was like an obsession. It was a mission to get done, and obviously on a paper, I wasn't anywhere near to qualify, and
Mhm.
we were lucky there was another spot added to the qualifiers as well because Kim was there, Fee was there, um, Jevi was there, and Eva Obradovic, I think Serbian
Oh
girl.
yeah, the Serbian
She was
lady.
very
Yeah,
good, yeah, because I remember I raced Piedaluco and she won in Piedaluco and I was like third and fifth the second day. And she
yeah,
was convincing, like she was really far ahead. So I was like, oh, we'll have to do something special now, I suppose.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember with Adrian Cassidy at the time, he was coaching me, and we decided on a plan that if I have to, I need to switch the sprint to 500 to go, do my last 250, and then just hang on till the end.
Yeah, yeah,
That's exactly what I did, and that saved me because Eva was catching up on me, and I think at 500 we were almost level. And then
yeah.
I just flicked the switch, started sprinting, and pulled away. Yeah, it was
Oh
magic.
wow.
It was
Yeah.
really magic. That was probably one of the races that I'll always remember as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's really, really great to listen to that. Um, and then the Olympiad up to Rio. I mean, you would have had expectations, I know, going to Rio of certainly being in the final and challenging for a medal, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, that was the plan, but as you know, a lot of my plans at the Olympics don't come true. So kind of, um, yeah, I think it was so silly of us to race that race in those terrible conditions, and that kind of screwed over the whole natural progression into the. It's actually
Was
Kimi's fault because she didn't finish first in her heat.
No, in fact, it was Kenya Lashega, wasn't it?
Yeah, she got through. Yeah, she got through to the
Which
semi.
is crazy.
Yeah. Well, look,
Um,
it's sometimes it does come to luck, and I mean, it was terrible conditions we had to race in the first race, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, could they have waited?
Surely.
Yeah, of course they could have done.
It's just sad that you train for 4 years and it comes to this at the Olympics. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's probably going to be similar enough experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, you know, people had a similar experience, didn't they, in London, where the wind blew and the lanes didn't change for a day.
Yeah,
Um,
I wasn't affected by that, but I know, was it semi-finals probably were, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah,
A final probably was a bit affected by that, but I didn't quite experience that.
yeah. Um, I know we were talking before we went on air, and asked you about, you know, how life after rowing, whenever that is, might look. Um, and you must have had lots of different thoughts or ideas around that. What's your thoughts on that at the moment?
What I've noticed so far is that I do like coaching, but
Mm,
I don't know if I will do coaching all the time because it's the same lifestyle. Like I'd like to have weekends sometimes away with family somewhere, but
yeah.
now my youngest daughter, she started rowing now, so probably
Oh,
still
you're kidding.
yeah. So I'd say there'll be no break from rowing anyway. Um, yeah, I don't know. I do enjoy coaching a lot, but um, I don't know if that would be sustainable here in Ireland to make a living. So could do it on the side a little bit, but at the same time, well, maybe I don't know. Rowing Ireland maybe will have something for me. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
or
That's
I'll find something.
what do you like about coaching?
I don't know. I don't even know if they understand sometimes what I'm saying, but um, it just comes out. And I remember last week I brought Danny for training, and I hopped into the launch, and I was like, I'm not going to coach, I'm not going to say anything. And then I was sitting there for about 40 minutes, and then I just grabbed my phone, can I have it? and then I couldn't shut up. It was, I don't know, it just trying to pass over what they're supposed to feel like and what they need to find in the water, and how, just
Yeah.
I don't know, try to explain what it's like to have a good stroke, and
Mm.
yeah, help people to get better. I don't know.
Who's I know you've had several coaches. We talked about Adrian Casti, we mentioned in terms of London, but you've had people like Don McLachlan
Yes.
and Sean Casey. I mean, who stands out for you as someone that's really helped you and moved you in the right direction?
I think all of them have.
Yeah.
I actually couldn't pick one that has done most for me because they all done equal amounts. It's like they've given me different tools. Uh, let's say Adrian like made me tougher, I think.
Hmm.
And they got me to my first Olympics, so it's always going to be special. And each one of them has taught me something that's very, very valuable. And I think those things also have helped me to enjoy coaching myself. Like if I'm in the boat coaching someone, it won't be just somebody else's style. It'll be like a mix of every coach that I had
Yeah.
something good to give. I I wish I had more time to work with Sean as well, Sean Casey, because
Yeah.
I think I was struggling to trust him at first a little bit, and then once I did, it was actually going so much better. And he was more like trying to teach me to be more independent, I think, as
Mm.
well, and rely on myself a little bit more and believe in myself a little bit more. Um, yeah, so all of them have given me something. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, I mean, it seems now, you know, because of we're talking about the success of Irish rowing, but the performance director Antonio Maragiovanni. I mean, I don't know whether he's come over at the right time where things are going well, or he's made an impact with his, you know, program and his appointments and so on. How does that seem from your perspective?
Well, obviously, like, even I did resist his program in the beginning. It did make a change for me. But then when he came over, lightweights were already doing really, really well. So,
Mm.
but he has made a difference on the heavyweight side. Like our team, if we had three people on a heavyweight side before, now we have, I don't know, 20. And
Wow.
it's a big team. Like all the lads, like before we had barely anyone hitting 6 minute mark on the ergs. Now
Yeah.
everyone is under 6 minutes and
Yeah.
breaking PBs all the time. So the standard has definitely gone up, but it is a very demanding program. So I just wonder how long it can be sustained and
Yeah.
like just um, longevity, if that's what for athletes. Like how long can they stay with that program?
With that program.
Maybe, yeah. Will they burn out? Will they break before they peak physiologically? I don't know. But yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, and of course with Irish Irish women have this identity, the whole big strong girls
Yeah.
thing. I mean, that must have felt good to see that sort of thing develop.
Yeah, it was funny how it developed. I think we were on a way to camp on a bus, and that idea just came alive. And then we designed the one pieces, and we were actually drawing the one pieces in 2020 on a camp.
Hmm.
So we had like a pad with paper and crayons, so we were
Oh
drawing the
wow.
doing all that. It was really cool. Yeah, and Aileen Crowley, she drew the girl with the biceps and a ponytail.
Yeah,
So that's her work. Um, yeah, it was really, really cool to be part of something like that. And it has become bigger than us now because we were helping out some junior rowers last year. I don't know how it's going to go this year with the funds from selling the one pieces they
are
were
you
getting.
kidding? Really?
Yeah, it's well, Afric. She's kind of leading the. She was leading that project a little bit more, so maybe you should have her now next on a Crossy corner.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Voice
yeah,
about
yeah.
that. But yeah, it's great to have. I feel like we've built some legacy, and hopefully, all the young ones that come after us will keep it going.
Mm. When's Irish rowing gonna announce what their team is?
For Olympics,
Yeah, for the World Cups or Olympics, I
for the
guess.
World Cups, soon I assume. Yeah, we kind of know who's going, but I won't say anything until it's
No,
announced.
no, no. Um,
Yeah, well, it's 3 weeks away, so surely soon enough. You'll find
I
out
know
when these are out.
it's ridiculous, isn't it? I just look at the calendar. It's just like, and it's coming up so soon, mid-April
It is, yeah.
for the first World Cup.
I wish I had a
Uh,
few more weeks to train
yeah,
for my holidays in December.
yeah. So I think one thing that people know about Irish rowing is the success of the lightweight men, the O'Donovans, initially, and then Paul and Fintan. I guess from from an outside perspective, I think if I was asked to say who's the biggest personalities in world rowing, I'd probably say Paul O'Donovan would be up there um, as one of them because of the stuff that happened with his brother in Rio. How does that seem to you?
He's actually really quiet.
Yeah,
Even- uh, yeah, lightweights are just they're in a league of their own. They train so hard, and they results like yeah. There's something else I actually like admire how they do it, but it's great to see. And we train alongside. It's just that they do small bit of slightly different training, and it works for them amazingly. So yeah, but personality wise, yeah, I think he can put it on for interviews. I'm sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
he's a quiet man. He works away quietly all the time. Sometimes you can have a chat with him. Uh, but yeah, he's I admire him a lot. Like I actually don't know how he's done even last year with studying and stuff. Like training so little and still managing to be world champion.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, obviously Finton's playing a big part there as well, and now they both are full time. So watch out, world, they're coming.
I can't imagine the speed that the potential speed they could,
Yeah,
produce being full-time
fast.
athletes.
They're fast. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's such a shame, isn't it, that that is the last that we'll see of the lightweight men's double in the
Yeah,
Olympics,
it really is.
and women's double too.
Yeah, it really is. I think like our lightweights they're quite fast. They'd be probably competitive as well in the heavyweight division. So, but yeah, it's still yeah. It'd be nice if it stayed because I mean, it's competitive as it is. You know, they only have like one boat going,
Yeah,
and their qualifiers like they be final is like oh can't even watch it. Can't like it's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so intense. I actually don't know how girls like I've never asked, but maybe I should. How nervous were they going into that B final? And like,
because they had
no,
the French and the Italians in that B final, didn't they? The
yeah,
Olympic gold and silver medalists.
I haven't seen the whole race. I probably should watch it, but I've seen the last bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
that's
they
all you
pull
need to
away.
see.
Oh, it's can't. The guts you need to actually stay side by side for the whole race and not to
Yeah,
give it a push, like you know.
yeah.
Yeah, mighty
So
like
I in a career like yours, you come across lots of people. I know the sort of sisterhood of the singles is got its own special resonance. I mean, who stands out for you as particular? I don't know, as a friend or as a an opponent or someone that you'd really recall and spring to mind.
I feel like Jebby might have been the first one I want to mention because we've been kind of became friends at that first qualifier for London. And
Ah,
ever since then, we kind of engaged a little bit more and more and more. And she's been here with us in a training camp as well in Ireland once.
oh,
And
really?
she has joined us in Seville as well for a small training camp. Um, yeah, it's kind of, you know, being in single sometimes can get lonely, but at the same time, you have all these other single scholars and you do engage more because you have nobody else in your boat to talk to.
Yeah,
And you do develop those friendships and um, hoping to visit Emma in New Zealand at some point. She keeps inviting me over, so
you've got to
it's
go
the
with the
job is
family.
saving. Yeah, with the family I have to go. And yeah, I mean, the Great Eight was such a special project. I mean, I was so lucky to be there
Yeah,
and experience all that. And these are the memories that you can't really get the same in a crew boats when you're racing in crew boats when you're not like single and alone. You don't really get to bond with your opponent so much.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it was. I really loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I always came back and I was buzzing for about a week after. It
yeah.
was
Well, we've been talking for over an hour, Sunita. It's been an incredible experience to listen to you, and really, I feel like I can't give you a virtual hug now, but I feel like coming up and giving you a big hug in Varese, isn't it? That we're going
I'll
to.
be there. Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. I'll be there. Touch wood.
All going well. I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a good session tomorrow, or a couple of good sessions. How many sessions have you got lined up tomorrow?
We have two tomorrow, one on Sunday.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad.
I hope that goes well for you. But
Thank you.
I think we'll end the live part of this interview now, just to say a huge thank you for your time and your amazing words through the interview, Sinita. It's been fantastic.
Thanks for having me.